welcome to today's Fabric February live stream, where we have our fantastic friends, KOKAI Consulting, joining us today. They are here to chat about Fabric, their experiences, and anything else that we want to chat about. We might even get on the topic of snacks, which is kind of important for us in Fabric February. So with that, maybe you can start by introducing yourselves. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and maybe even why you want to be a part of Fabric February. So Andreas, I can toss it over to you, and then you can start telling us a little bit more about yourselves.
Thank you, Katrine. Well, hello and welcome. Uh, Today we are not really here to talk about what Microsoft Fabric is. We are here to talk about what Fabric has done to us as a company. For KOKAI, this has not been a technology uh, project. It has been a journey with decisions, with uncertainty, with learning, and with mistakes along the way for sure. We are a relatively small company. We operate across countries and cities in Scandinavia with large distances. And we made an early decision to build a large part of our future on Microsoft Fabric and Power BI. So this session is more about that decision and why we made it, what it actually required from us, and what we have learned. With me today, I have Espen, CEO of KOKAI Norway, who has uh, driven this strategically, and Hanna, our first consultant delivering Fabric projects end to end. Okay, Espen, let's start with the very beginning.
Yeah, sure. Hi. So I'm, as Andreas said, I'm Espen and the CEO of KOKAI Consulting Norway. Also have the overall responsibility of the as a head of consultancy across all countries and entities. And we are a quite young company. We are not that many yet either, working within the boutique or niche area of FP&A as a financial planning and analysis, and also corporate performance management. For those who hasn't necessarily worked that much within that specific area, it's essentially where strategy, data, and execution collides together. Sometimes it can become a great symphony. Other times it could become a big car crash if one is not ready. Uh, so that that essentially means that we as consultants at KOKAI actually have a very deep impact at our clients when we deliver our services. And that means that we need to always also maintain our core value, which is essentially stay curious and exploring new frontiers together. And it was that obsession essentially that led us to Microsoft Fabric, because when we started the company in around 2020, we had an experience base of, say, a couple of 100 years of FP&A and delivering solutions on, SQL Server on-prem using Azure and Azure SQL databases, Data Factory, and so on. But this all still ended up being a lot of individual consultants delivering solutions to different companies, solving different needs. And it became a very, as a dependency essentially on those people. It was not that easy to just step in and work together. And as a small company who has locations, across Norway and Sweden, being able to build an identity and a great culture early on is essentially crucial to get new employees coming in, and also to drive value and to ensure the greatness and happiness of us here. So we started with essentially implementing that, no one delivers a project alone. We always need to have at least 2-3 people on board, which kind of worked in a way, or it has worked very great. Always one from Sweden, always one from Norway. But we still ended up being like, okay, there's something missing here. It's still very dependent on those individuals when delivering solutions. And then I remember a couple of years ago when, I'm not sure if that was the phrasing done, but remarks said like, yeah, Microsoft Fabric, your unified data platform where, the engineering and analytic team all come together as one. Sounds great, right? It's too good to be true. It probably was at that time. I remember one of the pre-cons of Fabric February a couple of years ago, where Patrick LeBlanc said like, do you run production environments in preview features? I'm like, yeah, sometimes. Because no other choice when you're in Fabric, right? Like, no, don't do it. But yeah, so we ended up saying, okay, let's just see, does Fabric, like the way Microsoft is phrasing it, their roadmap, the way they want to do things, does that actually align with the KOKAI's identity, the way we want to work, explore new frontiers, stay curious, always develop, always, learn new things. And we felt like, you know what? Yeah, it does. So as Andreas said, it wasn't really as a technology choice. It was more like a strategic choice, where Fabric is for us more like the terrain that we are evolving into. It's not the end goal or end solution itself. Yeah. So we ended up like how we do it. It wasn't that much in Fabric yet, but we had some clients that we had in Power BI, we had them in Azure, so we thought, let's try to migrate them. Let's try to, get in there. And the first thing we figured, like, shit, everything is in Python. Or should be in Python, notebooks, what happened with, stored procedure, SQL, all that other stuff that we have, worked with for 50 years and so on. Well, it wasn't there. Well, it was there, but, it wasn't there yet. So we figured, okay, we need some new heads or some new thoughts into this. So we figured, let's find a person that can join us in evolving this together with us, with a clear view. So that's where we brought in Hanna Trulsson with us, the consultant, the senior consultant. So
it's interesting. That was actually the way it was meant to be, that I was gonna be a blank page.
Yeah. And it worked great. Like she joined in, we sat together. She's in Stockholm, I'm in Norway. And we started, okay, let's just try to get some environments up and running. And I'm going to hand it over to you soon, Hanna, to tell about your experience around this. But from my perspective, where I had, worked with this for several years before, I kind of like, we start working, we start to implement it, and we're like, still lots of data, there's still lots of dashboards, and it's still lots of uncertainties. So the real question for us that we needed to find out was, is Fabric actually technically better for us? And does it help us align with our strategy in practice? And with that, I'm going to deliver over to Hanna to explain a little bit about how she were able to build her competence there and help us build up this business area and strategy.
Thank you, Espen. So I'm Hanna, and I'm a consultant at KOKAI, but I'm based in our Stockholm office. And I mainly work with Fabric, but coming into KOKAI, I actually didn't have the experience working with data, because I was an application consultant within finance and operations. So Fabric was actually also my first encounter with how you work with data. So it was not that I had to relearn anything, or I have to go from old technology to new technology. It was actually, okay, but this is how you work with data. So this is just the way this Fabric is. The main source, the technology that you use for data. So that was my view when coming into the company. So I think that that was like maybe gave me some sort of unique perspective, because I know that when you come in with maybe a lot of experience and you've been working with the previous technologies, you have some expectations on the new technology like fabric, that you maybe expect that things should work and you have functionality that you're missing. But I never had that because everything was new for me. So I learned both how to work with data, like the data transformation, data modeling, everything was new. And the platform was new. So we were new together. Me and Fabric kind of were new in this. So it was really a great experience to be there from the beginning, actually, and also start to learn something that my colleagues and clients, they've been working a long time maybe with data, and they've been doing this transformation before, but they hadn't seen fabric. And I came straight into fabric, learning the new technology, and I learned the ways of how you work with data along the way. But it was the technology were always there, holding my hand, kind of. And because I haven't worked with SQL prior to this, so I wasn't focused on, okay, what language am I programming in, because I didn't program before coming into KOKAI and working with Fabric. So Python for me, if you compare to how Espen felt about Python coming in, it's my first programming language. So Python is where I go. If I want to program, I go to Python. So it was and I think maybe this was an advantage to be quite like a blank page, because I was really, you could really shape my thoughts about how I work with data. So Fabric just became natural in the way I work, even though, of course, there was there were challenges both with the lack of experience from the data modeling and so on. And there was a lot to learn that I learned from my colleagues, of course, who had great experience. But it was also a challenge with working with this new technology, because you could notice some child diseases, as we say, because sometimes there was a little bit of glitches. I remember one time when we had two data models open at the same time, because we were working working with a client. So we were setting up different data models, because you want to split it to different departments and so on. So we had those two open at the same time, and suddenly one data model overwrote the other data model. And that was really, really, really sweaty. But luckily it wasn't overwriting everything. It was only the layout, so it's only the pages. So the connections were all fine, the tables were all fine, and the measures were still there. So it was fine, but it was sweaty, and I'm still nervous. Every time I open a data model, I have no other data models open, because it's very important to keep it separate. So I think that it shapes how you work with the technology as well.
That actually reminds me of another one as well, where when you were working with direct lake models and you were, just going to update or add a new table or something in it,
Yeah.
and that actually could potentially remove all your relationships, because that was an issue in the beginning as
Yeah.
well. I remember when it was like nothing, like all the reports just broke. The client called in like, what have you done, Espen? Like, we need this now. I'm like, huh? I haven't done anything. And then I go in and look, I'm like, there's no relation. So you only get like these, cross joints everywhere. It was interesting.
It was a challenge, and it gave some stressful moments, but maybe that's part of it as well. Gave some extra spice when working.
Yeah, and I feel like those are two excellent perspectives coming into your fabric journey. With you, Espen, coming from the SQL side, the analytics side, more of the traditional BI stack, and knowing that side of things, and you, Hanna, knowing the business side. I feel like you're kind of representing most of the fabric users right now. Those of us who are IT pros trying to figure out, how do I use this tool to create value for the users. But also you, Hanna, coming in going like, I don't even know where to start. Like, where do I start with this? Okay, I know F&O, I know finance, planning and analytics, but I have no idea how to work with Python or data models, and how do you know what to pick and choose. I think, Andreas, you mentioned something. You had a quote that you said. Uh, uh, the one that you wrote in the chat there. Do you want to
Oh, that was
share
me.
that one? Oh, that
Yeah,
was you,
that,
Espen?
That was
Oh,
me.
sorry.
that was Espen. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, because I think like that was a really good way of phrasing it.
Yeah. It's we didn't wait to be ready. We built readiness while delivering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like in the projects I've worked with as well, that this is the journey that so many people are on, whether they
Mm.
are consultants or whether they are someone using this in-house in a company. Um, so how do you feel about that? Kind of looking back at your journey, do you feel like you are at the point now where you are ready? Or do you feel like it's a continuous journey of learning and kind of figuring out what the right approach is?
It's if you're asking me at least, then I would say that you are not supposed to come to the end of the journey, because journey is always ever evolving, and it's more about building confidence that you will be able to handle what comes next, and that's something that we try to ensure when we again when we try to build things on something that sometimes feel a little bit like a card house. If the wind come in, you can just blow everything over. So I don't know. It's like I think it was like in the 80s and 90s. They said the knowledge you gain, you have like a half time of I think it's like 10 years or something like that. And then when you start to come around the 2000, it came down to maybe 7, 9 years. I mean, years, not hours, years, before you needed to kind of relearn new stuff. And then, being in the age that we are now, and AI and III, all these kind of things, they claim that the half time of knowledge now is sometimes less than a year. That you need to be that what can I learn more? How can I solve my issues, or how can I get to my goals? Because that's actually when Hanna actually started, and it was actually her first year. I think it was the first 6 months. She began in, I think it was like a February or March, and we had planned a consultant trip or kickoff in, I think it was in September the same year. And she was kind of pushed into it, of course, with a life jacket and parachutes tied to the back, to learn. And we were like, I think it was like 3 months in, it was like, hey Hanna, do you want to build like your own fabric in a day course to deliver to the consultancy team? And essentially everyone, I think even Andreas was building data pipelines and connecting dots, and even running some notebooks in there.
I was.
Yeah. And she said yes, and she did it, and she delivered it perfectly. And that was also a way to try and push the boundaries. Just step into it.
Mm. But that's a great way to learn, teaching others. So that was because I know when I started, it was like the first thing I focused on was fabric. It was always the main focus, and I think my journey actually started with me being at the Fabric February. So that was like the kickoff. So that's when I got overloaded with all this information. It was a great introduction, I would say, but it was a lot of information as well. But it was a great introduction, and then from that I was also building this training material that I was gonna train internally, and that was a way to also dig into the technology, because when you are teaching others, you have to dig in and you have to know the details. You have to know what you're talking about. So it's a great way to learn, to just set up your own webinars, or to do your own training in-house, or just look how you can teach others. It's a great way of learning. So that was a very good way. Also, it made everyone more aware of fabric in-house, because everyone was curious after that. everyone wanted to know more, and they wanted to work with fabric. So I think it was also a good way to just spread the word in-house.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. And I think as consultants, even if we don't deliver structured training internally, like you did, Hanna, we are kind of teachers in a way, aren't we? Because we have to advise our customers, we have to train them so they can use the tools properly. And so, how do you feel about fabric in that way? Do you feel like it's easy to get your customers kind of excited about this technology, or is it just another tool to them, like one of many tools?
What do you think, Hanna?
Well, it's so different from the beginning until now, I would say, because I know in the beginning when this was when it was still early, and some people they have touched fabric. So clients, for example, they have seen fabric, but they had not a good experience because they had seen some glitches. So they have a kind of a negative view because no, that's not working for us. That is not, they don't have, doesn't have this functionality and this functionality. And for me, since I came from the background I didn't have that kind of experience. I couldn't really relate to this frustration because it was still new to me, and everything that came was like, okay, this is new and this is cool and this is a new functionality. I didn't expect this. So that was a bit tricky in the beginning, but I think it's become better and better because everyone, or I feel like more and more are more curious about the fabric, so that people want to adopt to it and they want to know more about it, and they want to learn what is this because they've heard about it and they heard other using it. So I think it's getting better but it was tricky in the beginning, I would say. I don't know what your experience was, Espen, with that.
Is in the beginning, it's same as you. Like we had some calls with Microsoft also, late in the evening or at night, just to figure out how things work. Like, oh, Dataflow Gen 2 stopped working. Yeah. You have to turn on Dataflow Gen 1 to make it work again. But it's been working for like ever now. So I feel like the adoption, because you can kind of look at it two ways. One is like when the client adopts because you, as a consultant or technical person, is you're just handling it. I got your back, right? Like don't worry about how it works. I got it. And then you have the one where, and this is where I feel all clients should essentially come, is where they become at least self-sufficient on the regular tasks, the regular maintenance adjustments. They can kind of maintain and evolve it, and when the advanced stuff pops up, that's when they help or ask for help to figure out how it works. And it's I actually been working together with a client for like from the beginning to now, and finally I kind of feel that you can start training their employees on how to maintain notebooks, how to work with shortcuts, between the different domains you have created, just how everything works essentially, just because now it usually does. So and that kind of makes it good, but it's still like I don't know. The one thing that I feel is the most or worst part is essentially when it comes to the actual cost of things. The consumption, how because the end users that it's kind of fronted towards, they usually like to use the no code, low code technologies. And as I guess some of us here know, at least, is that the consumption rate peaks immediately when you're not supposed to know what you're doing, if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everyone watching knows that as well if they are remotely interested in fabric. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, okay, you can pay for the upskilling, learning how
Yeah.
to write Python code, you learn how to use SQL, how to use all of those code first tools, or you pay for someone else having done that work by
Yeah.
paying through more consumption, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have the choice, but I agree with you. It's kind of difficult to know that unless you are geeky,
Yeah.
like some of us.
But I do see that a lot of people still are like, okay, Fabric now, at least now that they are starting to have all the, let's just say, core features, that it actually becomes like what they claimed 2 years ago. It could actually become a unified data platform where everything exists, and that actually, instead of needing to have the competence of, for example, going into Azure or whatever kind of, let's say, platform you're using, and buying, say, everything from 5 different products, or maybe even more, to handle this A to Z functionality that you want. It kind of is just one product. So it still kind of, is able to argue that you can kind of remove that stack in a sense, and just focus over here and ensure that you develop over here. And that, and I also then realized that, or seen, it actually starts removing the processes that has usually been there before, where you have the let's say the infrastructure team hosting the servers. Everything you want to change there, it has to go to a person, and then they have to approve, and then the approval needs to be put in the pipeline, and then it needs to actually be done. These kind of steps starts to be less and less, and you actually become or you are able to kind of go not under the the hood into the nitty-gritty details, but to at least maintain everything you need, as most companies in Fabric. And that also lowered the bar of, or not necessarily the bar of the competence, but you don't need to understand how is that SQL server set up in the background, for example. How is that data warehouse configured? How is the lakeout? Where is the storage? Like that just works in theory.
Yeah, and I guess that was for you one of the major decisions of or like strategic decisions was
Yes.
like, we don't have to hire 2 people just managing infrastructure and setting up the networking and getting everything to just kind of work together.
Yeah.
You can actually focus on getting someone like Hanna in to deliver real business value from basically day one.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that strategic decision has kind of paid off despite some of the child diseases and issues?
And this is kind of where I need to, look into myself and into KOKAI. I'm going to say yes, as a salesperson, of course it has, yes, but not from the beginning, right? So we are kind of, because we're kind of on the same journey as our clients, right? Because it's not ready, so we need to just continue to deliver while ready and building our way of working, what works, what does not work, and it's also like the lack of, or it was at least the lack of correct documentation. Microsoft, it's always been kind of great because you can, Google it or ChatGPT or whatever you use, and there's lots of information, and the community is great to share when you have issues. But when Fabric actually started, even though it was the same, it still lacked a lot of concrete documentation, and Microsoft itself didn't really document, quick enough. So we also realized that sometimes when we tried to follow documentation, it didn't work because it wasn't that way anymore. So we have kind of been trying out, I'm going to call it like a core team internally, to try and focus on, okay, we need to have specific people building in Fabric, because you need to kind of have the confidence that you will solve this even though it doesn't work, right? And you will find a way around it regardless. So you need to have that drive, and not everyone is that person. That's just pure honesty. But now when it's become mature enough, we see that we're able to start to get all the people in the company into Fabric again, because now things work. You don't need to spend days or weeks trying to find out why something didn't work and then train them again. You can actually work together to build the knowledge and to start to build our strategic packs, methods, and deliverables that is essential in our line of work. Because I know it says KOKAI consultant, which kind of like, oh, it's a pure consultancy firm, but essentially we are something in between consultancy and products. Of course, the main thing is the method with what we deliver to our clients, but we also actually we're also co-owners in a company called AimPlan, which is a partner with Microsoft delivering a full FP&A solution in Power BI. So you can actually work in your semantic model and enter in data and so on, which gives us like we actually need to be on the product side as well. So we always need to have that mindset. How does it work from a pure consultant side when you're just setting things up? But also, how is it supposed to be productified or be like a data, or we do have it as called data products. So it is kind of interesting, and I think it's like the last 6 months where we see that the questions and the drive to like, oh, we also want to when can we start to join into actual product and so on. So it's kind of working in the way it's supposed to be. We're starting the core value of stay curious. Andreas did a great job this we were in Split for this kickoff, and he created like these T-shirts. It was like KOKAI and just like stay curious, the Nike, just do it. And doing these small things together kind of drives that into the core value of us as people. And you see that again now in delivering on Fabric solutions as well, that people are now curious. They want to like, how is this working? How can we kind of convert our current knowledge into the new things? And that's quite cool.
Absolutely, it's really cool. So what do you think are the main drivers in like the past 6 months? Any changes, any updates, any news that kind of made more people be curious about Fabric? Do you feel like it's more on the technical side, or do you feel like it's more just coming from you who have that experience, that you are getting more excited about something and that kind of spreads?
It's probably a combination, I think. If you talk about us internally, like we try to, like we're a small company, and as a small company, there are sometimes processes and steps that get, I'm not going to say deprioritized, but other stuff gets prioritized above them. So and some of these are of course training evenings, happenings, events, because we need to deliver to our clients. We need to ensure that we do what we promise. But in the last year, I think actually we actually been able to get new people in our workforce as well to ensure that we are healthy. I think we're around 20 people now, which allowed us to start, okay, let's ensure that we are able to look up and see towards the future, or what do we not see in the future? What do we need to start figuring out? And since we have been in Fabric February since day one, we also were on the FabCon Vienna this, it was in September, I think. So I think it's just more that we are now able to actually commit time to ensuring that we do speak Fabric internally, and we do try to learn, and we do try to share the knowledge, and we do try to kind of show people, look what we can do here. Because one of the things that been like a really headache for me, I'm not sure if Hanna had been like that far back, but in Power BI, the complexity to making complex DAX to create dynamic, slicers and filters, which now is field parameters, where you can just click what you want to see, or row group calculations, or combinations of row group calculations, all these kind of things that just opens up scalability in other way as well, which we haven't had in the other tools that we also deliver on. And when these kind of features start stepping in, that's when people are like, oh, you can do that. That's fucking amazing. So I think it's just more the maturity, not necessarily that there has been that many new releases, but we have, again, back to confidence, like we're starting to really get confidence in that the product does work. For those who have downloaded the January release, might not agree that much with me, that, I think it was quite a nice bug features implemented in Power BI desktop, for example, with some buttons that got discolored and other weird and wonderful things. So, Microsoft's not perfect either. We all do mistakes, but it's more about, getting the confidence that we get through them and that we are able to deliver. So I think that may be the most. We will, of course, go to Barcelona this year as well on FabCon. We might even go to the US one next year, because we do deliver services to both companies in the US, Africa, Middle East, Australia. So we're not just a small Scandinavian company. We actually do deliver to a global services. So I think it's just that it's been talked about for 2 years, and now it's actually starting to show that it works.
Yeah, for sure. And it must be great for you as well to be able to attend conferences in other countries, meeting up with clients there, and just kind of sharing that enthusiasm. But Hanna, I did have a question for you. So Andreas can probably stop me if I go too deep into technical details. I'm sorry, I'm a fellow nerd, so this is interesting.
It's fine. It's fine.
But for you, coming from F&O, the data that you're getting from F&O, it's not ready for Power BI out of the box. I would say.
No.
How has that process been for you, going from like understanding F&O until to digging into like that massive data model, and then trying to figure out how do I take this back into something that is business friendly again? Can you tell us a little bit about like that journey and how you kind of felt it was learning to work with that? Because I do think that is something that most of the people working in Fabric are running into, that exact journey.
Well, I think that it's, it was very good for me that I already knew finance and operations, because if you want to build a report that someone understands, the client understands, they want to know, okay, how much sales do we have, but I want this field as well, and I want this thing in my report as well. It's been very easy for me to navigate in finance and operations because I already know it. So I can do some click here and click, and I can find, okay, but it's from this data source. So then we can go in here and we can look for this, and we can go into the AOT, and we can look how the relationships are between the tables. So that actually made it easier that I came from that background, because then it's easier to navigate and use that data that you see as a user when you use the system and you work with the finance and operations and you work with your sales, and to make that transformation into a report and make it also valuable for the client. Because what is actually interesting to look at, it's you know it when you look into the ERP system, because maybe you want to know how many of your sales orders get stuck in a different status. Then we can look, okay, where do we find the status, and what's that field called, and then you just make sure that you transform it. So I think it gave me both the business perspective, of course, because I've said before, I sat a lot in like the processes with the business, how you set up, okay, how do you set up the sales process or the warehouse process or the purchasing process. And now it's just finding the key measurements for the users of what is important when we are working in this process. And then there's the technical part. How do we transform that information that is put into the system into an end user perspective in the report way? So how do I see the numbers? And the transformation part, that is the technical digging, and it's testing, and that's really fun as well, because you have a clear vision, because you see something in the system and you want in finance and operations, and you want to have a vision of how you want to combine that information in a report. So then you just test your way to see how can we actually transform the data into this report, and we can see, okay, that's what I want to see. And you find the technical way, you always find a way, but you have to understand what is important in the end to look at. So I think that gave me quite some, it was good actually to have that perspective.
So
Yeah,
now it sounds like you didn't cover any issues, or discovered any issues at all when working on this kind of thing. I'm not sure. I think there was a time when, for example, we spent, how many days trying to figuring out how to get the data actually out in either direct to Fabric or through One Lake Data Explorer due to, for example, different location definition. F&O environment is in one, what's it called? A geographic location. Your Fabric environment is in another. Oops.
Yeah. And that's the difficulty, yes.
or just the getting
real-time
the
data.
The real-time data. What is real time?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it like the challenges, yes, there have been some challenges with pulling the data, because but also if you're sitting as an end user in the system, you expect that if you are changing, for example, a record in the system and you change it and you press enter and it's done, you want to see that in your report right away. And it shouldn't be 30 minutes, 1 hour, it should be right away. And that's been a tricky one when working with finance operations, because you don't get the data in 5 minutes or in 5 seconds. It takes some time because it's a lot of data and it moves through the synapse and it's the refresh. You can't really control it 100%, I would say, because you have to wait for the synchronization. So that's been, we had to do some testing. We had because we had a client that wanted to get it like quick, and we didn't know, okay, what is real-time data in finance and operations perspective? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 15 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? What is real-time data? So we had to test, and we have to try and pull the data. We went through some different roads with testing how you can pull out the data quickest way possible. Microsoft didn't know either which was the best way when we asked, because we got some vague answers. So in the end, it was like, okay, do the direct link, Fabric direct link, and that is what they suggest. But it's still like, okay, it might take 15-30 minutes still. So if you're an end user and you change something in the system, maybe you don't experience that is real-time data, because real-time data for end user might be, okay, 1 second. So it's a definition question, I would say.
And I think also like it's a little bit about like, because when we talked about this actually before earlier today, where, as Hanna said, like you click the button and you kind of expect things to just pop up somewhere else. But finance operation is like it's a big enterprise application, and there's usually a lot of things happening in the background. So when you, for example, receive a purchase order or the invoice for the purchase order, and you try to book it, of course that will go into your general ledger and journal accounting entry and so on. But it might also, if you have set on first in first out, it might go in and update the actual inventory transactions. It might go back to the actual purchase order you had to update that. Well, like there's a lot of things happening in the background, which isn't really just that that click of a button, which also is sometimes a bit but I don't care about that right now, I just want that. It's well. And you go into and again we're going to Microsoft documentation before we reach out to them. It's like it can take up to 24 hours. Like, is that really real time? Up to. And so it's fun when you start talking about like what is the actual need and why is it that need. So and this is where maybe more the execution kind of of the data strategy, data and execution, where that kind of comes in and tied up to the strategy, because you want those numbers and you want them now to act before it's too late. But it is, again, with things working and not working. And the worst part is when you start distrusting the systems. And I know that me and Hanna have, it's not often, so I don't want to kind of like pull it out as a major issue, but it has happened sometimes where we see that the trickle feed from Microsoft, when you use the Synapse link to fetch the data, suddenly doesn't trickle through everything. There's no error messages. There's nothing. You just see that if you validate the numbers there versus here, it's you're missing something, a couple of transactions. So that's also like one of the main roles, I think, as us sitting here and potentially the ones watching, is that when you start implementing automation, even if it's AI or if it's just a data pipeline or whatever, like you need to ensure that you have the reconciliation process in place to pick up when things just happen by itself. How do you verify that it's actually correct? Because the worst part is when it's been working for 3 months and then suddenly it gets wrong, and that's always when it shouldn't be, but you just trust it because it's been working for 3 months, so why should it be wrong? So that's
Yeah. And especially in finances, I mean, you kind of need those numbers to be accurate and correct, right?
you usually do.
Hopefully they are. But in terms of that, like going from things that aren't working, what do you think are some of the your favorite features right now that have been released, or something that makes you excited, for this next year, going into 2026? What would you say is like, this is really cool in Fabric, and I wish everyone would look into that?
Hanna, you can say anything if you.
Well, I really like this new, maybe it's not that new anymore though, but like the change tracking functionality that you can actually reverse and go back. So if there's something that has been, you have loaded like a table with some faulties, you can just reverse it to the previous version. I think that is really cool because I just recently used it. So for me, it's new. I'm not sure how long it's been in Fabric, but for me, it was very, very cool when I used it the first time.
I'll pass that on to the product managers in on that product, because it's a small thing, but it's a quality of life feature,
Yes,
right? It's so simple now to just go, you know what? We just need to make sure that we have a clean copy of things. Go and do that. And I
exactly.
I love that. I love that because this is grounded in your real world experience, and it's not just like the marketing hype from Microsoft side. So
It is.
Really good.
I did a post. Well, I think that was actually a little bit before, but where it was the grandpa complex, something like that. I don't remember the dad complex where you do time traveling back in time.
Mm.
And I used that example when doing time traveling in the Delta Parquet files, just to be able to see different versions and so on. It's great. It's and like for me personally, I'm a little bit frightened to say like this is the main feature I look forward to. Like actually, like, I haven't been able to verify too much around it. For me, it's more still the core features around ensuring that security, the one security that I think that's at least what we called once upon a time, which has been implemented again, I think, to some sense. But it's more about that it actually being that unified data platform, that they are able to replace everything on the right side and just put in that one box. That they are now moving, more towards that. So I think that's what that together with no, that's wrong. Copilots and the integrated AI capabilities in semantic models, they are claiming they will be better at time series forecasting. So that for me will be like when they come up with some great models, and that would be really cool from a data perspective. But I just want that peace of mind right now to just ensure that things are working. They continue to put in what I think they're calling it features, but things that makes pipelines or automations that has been working just stops, because suddenly there's a service principal accounts that need to be connected to that runbook instead of a regular as a OData account. So there's a lot of these kind of things. So I'm wishing for them to stop developing on that because it's ready. That's what I'm most excited again.
yeah, it's regression testing, right? You have to
Yeah.
you try to do something new and cool, and then whoops, that kind of affected something we did not expect.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know, I just remember it was one client where a job had it was something as simple as it was just a security key or token that had been expired. So they and their IT person hadn't seen it. So the end user, of course, they come to us first. Data isn't correct, okay, but this person needs to update the security details. Did it, tested, it worked, and then the next night it crashed because of this new service principal method of executing notebooks in pipelines. And of course that falls back on us. Oh, you said you fixed it, but this is something else. It's not
Well,
us.
I fixed the first.
Yeah. Now it's a new one.
Yeah.
So that's actually, it feels like when you're renovating the house, right? And you tear up the floor and then suddenly you see there's something that's not supposed to be under there or behind the wall. It's
Yeah.
the joy of working with data.
Yeah, for sure. So where do you stand on the AI hype?
Well, I think people heard me say I. But I feel so old school when I'm saying this. I kind of AI hype. I think it's good for me. AI is still in. This is my personal meaning, so I don't want to tie this up to KOKAI. But my personal opinion about this AI hype is that it's a hype. Currently, a lot of the models are still, it's as a machine, as a language models, which essentially try to calculate what do you want to know, also what's the probability that I'm giving you what you need or what you want. So for me, it's it's not necessarily mature for the things that people, as of where the sales people push it, but it's a lot of things you can do with it if you just look at the small wins, right? The automation, the cleansing, the regression testing, for example, populating. Just do the mundane tasks. Just use it there first, because you will free up so much time to do what is actually value creating. So that's my stand on AI, is that don't listen to the salespeople, just figuring out what do you actually have ready in your business today that you can use as a simple AI methods to solve your immediate needs, or just tasks that you don't want to do. Am I swearing, or is it?
Yeah, but
But you have a different view than I have as AI. I mean,
I feel
I'm
so
such a
old.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I'm a visionary, so I can see, like, in AI, then it's like I can see when you sit there with 5 different AI agents and everyone is working for you, and it's like so easy. That's your job. You are making sure your AI agents, they are working perfectly for you. So that's like the vision. But let's say it's not here yet, but in the future.
I
It
like
was
that.
actually.
And it sounds like you're a good team. You're balanced in multiple ways.
It's good to have the ones that try to run away, and then you have the the people that run with like big eyes on tires behind them. Someone sitting on that one and just like, not too fast, not too fast. It's but it's like, in all honesty, like from KOKAI's perspective, again, it's important that we explore the the frontiers, the uncharted territories. And there's no hiding it that in Fabric there's a lot of things coming. AI is also a big part of it with Copilot automations, all that kind of things. So we are testing it, we're trying it out. We just don't feel it's necessarily mature enough yet to really get the value that we feel it can be for our clients. But we are still kind of trying to running down the road, tripping, falling, getting some bruises, getting up again. Okay, let's see how it works in a different way.
Yeah, and hopefully the maturity journey that Fabric has been on is just going to be the same with the AI features. And maybe it's more on like the phrasing of AI being overused to cover everything, because I feel like what you get the real value from, and especially in finances and planning, forecasting, budgeting, is those machine learning features. It's like, look at the data that you have, base it on that, and then predict the trends. Like, that in itself is so super powerful. But that's not ChatGPT. So I feel like this like AI term, it's too broad right now, maybe.
And also just, in terms of ensuring that when you check in the code, right, what's the change log? Getting a help with that, so we don't have to necessarily write everything for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Of course, on private server, but
yeah. So I see. I'm enjoying this conversation. It's great to hear your perspectives on things. I see that we only have about 5 minutes left. So I just want to check in with you. Is there anything that you want to share, want to talk about, or like you can rant, you can vent, you can be excited about things, or you can, anything that you want to spend the last couple of minutes on?
do you want to rant a little bit?
One notice that I really, we have discussed a few of the challenges and the hiccups and so on, but overall, I think Fabric it's a really great tool, and it's really easy to learn to work in Fabric. So it's nothing to be, even if you come from a background that is not super technical. Fabric is it's a great way to start, and also a great way to start to work with data. So don't be afraid to just get in there and just start working with Fabric. It's really fun.
Yay.
That's the only ramble.
Yeah, but I love that because I think maybe Espen and I, we're getting old. We're kind of jaded from our
Really?
backgrounds.
We're not getting old. We just feel old.
Okay, we feel old. But it's kind of easy to come in with that like enterprise IT perspective and then get hung up in like these details aren't working and I want this to work. But then I personally had a meeting with one of my clients who are coming from the business side, and we were working through things together. So he was doing things while I was guiding him, just as a training kind of workshop. And he was getting his data. He was putting files into the lakehouse, converting it to Delta tables, writing SQL queries, semantic model. That he was like, I understand this, and then start visualizing data. That was all in a couple of hours. So I think that was excellent, Hanna, that you kind of bring that up. That remember the business user and the non-technical user perspective, and that's kind of also where Fabric is pushing hard too, like from the Power BI self-service visualization, Fabric more on self-service data analysis exploration. So yeah, just thank you for bringing that up. I think that is super important. Yeah, and then we can continue to rant and vent about the things that aren't working. Yeah, we can have both conversations at the same time.
Yeah, we can have them both.
Yeah.
But I think like from Sansa, like it's just jump into it, try it out. If it fails, just delete the workspace, start again. You still have the trial, the Fabric trial licenses, right? So you just jump into it. But it's just be aware of who you start sharing the data with. Because I see that's one of the main issues that we usually have, not necessarily sharing that, but with I usually like to have that hourglass methodology. That in the beginning everything is open, everything is supposed to go in, then you have to kind of like tidy up, and you try to open it again, but it's easy that it becomes overload, and everyone's supposed to do self-service, right? So that's it's a great thing, but make sure you have control of what's using the what's the feature called again? The when you label the data set or the report or the model as kind of like approved, verified.
Yeah.
And also use that
and certifications.
Yeah. So that you know what to use and what not to use. Because the dashboard overload or KPI overload is it's real. It's there.
Yeah. Right. And then finally, we will see you next week, right? At Fabric February in Oslo. Are you excited?
Oh, we are.
Yes.
Very excited.
I'm just
Are you ready
I'm
to eat
so
all the snacks?
Yeah, all the snacks. Like I think last year you had like 2 tons of snacks. So it was so everyone was like rolling out of the theater.
Yeah, it's very important. We need to make sure everyone's high on sugar to like get the most buzz throughout the day.
Yeah.
But yes, so you will have a stand there
Yeah.
for everyone watching. Come and join us and come and say hi to the wonderful people of Kokai, the fantastic friends that we have in Fabric February. And then outside of that, where can people find you if they want to know more about you or get in touch with you, or what's the best way to reach you?
Andreas.
Yeah, on our website, kokaiconsulting.com.
Yeah.
See, I'm almost
Absolutely.
YouTuber.
Yeah.
Subscribe, whatever.
Come on, guys. You know
And
this.
and on our social media platforms, we're on in Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all with the same handle, Kokai Consulting. And yeah, absolutely.
And
Come
then
check us out
Both
and contact us if you
both
have
me
any
and
questions.
both me and Hanna will also be there on Thursday next week.
Yeah.
So you can feel free to come and talk to us if you want to rant. I'm the guy. If you want to be the visionary, for me, Hanna is sitting over there. So
And I'm
Or the other side, yeah.
yeah. Come to the dark side.
it's a good thing. You can rant, you can be excited. Both of you are going to be there. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Yes. All right. And with that, I'm going to just wrap it up here. Thank you so much for spending this hour and just sharing your experiences and opinions. Come and talk to Kokai at Fabric February next week. Or if you're looking at, the recording, maybe it was in the past, but go and talk to them on their social media. So with that, thank you all so much. I'm going to play the end jingle now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Okay,
Cheers.
Thank you.
bye.
bye.
Bye bye.